Hello everyone and welcome to the shop. I'm Big Allen Cox. On this video I will be attempting to keep my 2014 Stihl FS 56 RC from the landfill. The RPMs are all over the place and fuel is seeping from the carburetor. I don't think I want to rebuild this carburetor again considering the machine's age and hours. So I contacted my good friends at Hipa Store Dot Com and asked them to send me a carburetor kit for this Stihl trimmer. That is supposed to be here today, and it's a good thing because I really need to use this trimmer tomorrow. I've been clearing some brush, so I have the brush cutter and wood blade outfits on my trimmers, and I don't want to go through the trouble of removing those cutters till I'm done with that project. I think I will remove my engine covers and the old carburetor while I'm waiting for today's mail run. A T25 hex or star driver will remove the screw that holds the air filter cover. In fact, that will be the main tool to remove the engine cover and housing on the pull start. The air box and carburetor are held on the intake by two 5/16 inch nuts. There are 9 T25 torque screws that need to be removed to give easy access to the carburetor, and I should be able to inspect my fuel lines. That's all the screws underneath. There's one more here on the top. 3 Torx T25 screws hold this starter recoil housing. The engine cover can be removed now. Pull off the air filter holder. The fuel line tank vent attaches to the back of the holder. That line's a little bit crispy. I think this carburetor is leaking and seeping fuel from the throttle shaft. It's basically worn out. Now I need to remove the fuel lines, the purge line on top. The green line is the pickup on the bottom. With a Phillips head screwdriver, I can remove the throttle cable connection. The carburetor is free now to slide off of the mounting studs. I'm going to inspect the intake and clean the carburetor mount. 3 T25 screws hold that on. That's a chocolate iced Danish. Chocolate icing. One of these screws on the carburetor mount has an engine ground attached, and don't forget that when you go back with it. A little compressed air will get a little more of that grime and grease out of there. I'm going to spray a little NAPA parts cleaner here. That looks 71.2% better. I could spend a week cleaning this thing, or I could cut some weeds. The Hipa kit is here. It includes a section of fuel line here if you need to use it. It does not include the main pickup line. That's actually kind of a specialty line that you'll need to order separately if you need it. This looks pretty good. Also includes a new air filter. And these require a special adjustment tool. This is a hexagon adjustment tool, so when we put the carburetor on, if we need to do any adjustments to it, we'll need this tool to do that. Includes a new filter, a new gasket, and a couple of spare primer bulbs. Pretty much anything you're going to need to get your machine running again. I've been inspecting my fuel lines here, and actually they look pretty good. So I'm going to just leave those in place like they are. This is the fuel line I was talking about that's not included with the Hipa kit. And you can order this separately on eBay. It's around $9 or so. And that just pulls out and goes back down in there. With a pair of needle nose pliers, I'm going to reach down in here and grab my fuel filter. The new replacement. Send that back down in there. You want to check this intake here for any debris or any buildup. This one looks pretty good. I usually run Tru-Fuel, which is a good pre-mixed fuel, and it keeps the system pretty clean. This is some NAPA engine degreaser. I'm going to use this to clean up this intake mounting plate, or this adapter plate here. There's also the old gasket stuck to it there. We'll let that sit a minute and then I'll clean it up. We'll get this old gasket off here. I think it's pretty well stuck to it. I think we'll use our replacement gasket. Okay, I've got my carburetor mounting plate intake here clean. Good thing to do to keep gaskets from sticking and tearing like this one did. Take some of this NAPA premium bearing grease and just go over it, coat it, and that'll preserve this gasket. Now I'll sit my gasket back down on the intake there. Okay, I'm going to reinstall my cleaned up carburetor mount here. Now remember, you have this ground screw that goes right here. My ground clip and screw are in place there. Okay, my mounting plate is back in place, all clean and nice. Okay, going on with the new Hipa carburetor here, I'm going to connect my throttle first. Just stick this T right into this opening here. Then your cable should lock down in that slot right there. Now I'll hook up my fuel lines. The green colored fuel line will hook up on the bottom, that's your pickup. And the dark colored fuel line is your purge line, that will hook up at the top near the purge bulb. With everything connected, I can now slide my carburetor back onto the intake stud mounts. I've cleaned up my air filter box. I'm also going to replace this vent tube. That mounts right here on the back of this plate. This line on the back of the air box cover is the fuel tank vent. I have cut a new piece to replace the old one. That will connect to the stem on the gas tank vent. Now I can remount the air box onto the intake studs and replace the two 5/16 nuts. You don't want to over tighten these bolts. Just get them nice and snug. Hey, one thing I want to do is make sure my linkage is working, and it appears to be just fine. Now I can put my top cover back on. While I got this on the back side, I'll check the 4 engine mounting screws and make sure they're tight. I'll go back in with my air filter element now. Reinstalling the air cover lid. This is Tru-Fuel. You can get this at NAPA auto parts stores. This is all I run in my two-stroke engines. You don't have to worry about the perfect mix or having ethanol in your fuel. I'm going to pour just enough in there to see if it'll start up. Make sure I don't have any leaks or no funny business going on. Test time. This will be the first cold start of the new carburetor. I'm going to choke it and prime the bulb 6 times. I'm going to run the adjustment screws all the way in clockwise, then back out counterclockwise about 1 1/4. That's a good starting point to adjust the fuel mixture screws. They'll be marked L for the low idle speed adjustment and H for the high speed adjustment. When I started, I'm going to let it run a minute or two. If it does, then attempt to adjust my idle mix and idle speed. The speed must be low enough to still run, yet high enough not to turn the trimmer head. I will adjust the mix screw for the smoothest idle run. Then if the speed is too high or low, I will adjust that with a small Phillips head screwdriver. It's running rough and a little slow, so I will turn the mix screw clockwise until the run is smooth. At this point, my idle is a little high at the carburetor's smooth point, so I'm going to turn the idle screw counterclockwise to reduce the engine speed below the point the trimmer head does not turn, yet fast enough for a smooth run at idle. With my idle speed adjusted, I'll throttle up and see if I need to adjust the H or high screw set. That seems to be just about on the money there. It's 1 1/4 turn out, and that's where it seems to be happy, so that's where I'm going to leave it. That new Hipa carburetor seems to be working fine so far. After you use them a little while, you may need to make another fine adjustment sometimes and hone them in. I can certainly tell a big difference in the way it runs already. It is smoother, it started easy. I'm going to let it cool off for a few hours and go enjoy some pinto beans, cornbread, ham, and a cool glass of Coca-Cola. Then test this Stihl trimmer with the new Hipa carburetor and a second cold start, and under a load. It's about 3 hours later. However, it's a warm day. I'm going to go half choke and see what happens. This is a classic grass growth around the clothesline pole. Well, it started up easy, and before it was bogging down and it had lost power. The new Hipa carburetor has brought this Stihl trimmer back to life. have refueled it and walked around cutting stuff for about another 20 minutes or so, and so far it's good. The Hipa carburetor has restored my fuel economy and power to the Stihl FS 56RC. You can do the same and save yourself time and money with a replacement part in this Hipa carburetor and tune-up kit that includes pretty much everything you need to get your Stihl trimmer back in action. I also changed my fuel filter, the intake gaskets, also replaced a questionable tank vent line. I have the remaining line left. I also have a spare air filter for the next change. A few extra primer bulbs are always a plus, and the next spark plug when I need it. High quality parts and a good value. Visit Hipa Store Dot Com to get your power equipment running again. I will leave a link so you can get your Hipa carburetor kit to get your Stihl running again in the description section of this video. A special thanks to Hipa Store Dot Com, Hipa Store on Amazon and eBay. Also a big shout out to my good friends for many years at NAPA Auto Parts, 1702 National Highway here in Thomasville, North Carolina. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like the video if you did or it helped you out. There's also a subscription option if you'd like to keep up with the latest videos from this channel, keeping and saving things from the landfill. I'm Big Allen Cox, more videos to come soon. Until then, I wish you many blessings from my shop to yours.